Hello and welcome to first episode of eScoot Talks video podcast. For those who don't know, a couple of years ago I did start eScoot Talks podcast, and after recording a couple of episodes I actually realized, I want to bring you a video version of the same content because it's just going to be much more easier to show and explain you something than to explaining you everything just in an audio format. So there we go, we're recording today our first episode. I was delaying it for a while. I was trying to get all the proper equipment. I still don't have everything in place, but I think I have enough to start making videos that maybe they're not going to be perfect, but over time, I will hopefully improve. Most of people never did first video absolutely perfect, so I'm not expecting this one to be perfect either. But I think that more important is actually to give you a quality content than to actually give you a Hollywood production. So with that said, today's episode is going to be about electric scooter tires. We're going to cover three most common types of tires. So those are standard pneumatic tires that have inner tube, solid tires, and tubeless tires. Now, first image that we see here is actually nothing special except that it's like something that you're going to see, maybe once in a lifetime. This is a real situation. So the nail went through a tire, but luckily it didn't went through inner tube. And that tire is not punctured, and that scooter actually didn't came to us because of a puncture. It came for some other repair. And you can actually see quite a lots of damages on that tire from sharp objects on a road. But yeah, tire is still perfectly fine. Now, one of the reasons why probably this didn't penetrate inner tube because the tire was properly inflated, and because of that it didn't stretch too much. So it's a lucky escape, But okay, let's go to our second image. So where is this? Oh, okay, it's working. So this second image is actually showing you what happens if you're riding on a too low tire pressure. Actually, if you're riding on no tire pressure, if I'll be honest, here user was driving couple of days on absolutely flat tire, and there's no inner tube. Inner tube doesn't exist here. Here is a valve that was holding just by this small what's left of over rubber of inner tube, and that's it. And I wanted to show you this for a couple of different reasons. So first thing, one big mistake lots of people do is they got a puncture and they're thinking I'm just gonna ride home on a scooter and I'll get the tube replaced next day. In this scenario, you need to replace both tire and tube. Just replacing inner tube is not going to do the job. You might get even puncture same day again. And the reason for that is even that tire looks perfectly on the outside, there is actually quite lots of damage on the inside. And I also get lots of calls where people ask, oh, I have a puncture, how much is a puncture repair? It's really hard to say. I know the price for replacing just the inner tube, but in this case scenario we need to replace tube and tire. So it's hard to do a diagnostics over a phone, and I hope that people are gonna understand that. Anyways, on the small scooters, tires would be something, I'd say maybe 20-30 quid, but those small scooters also have quite low range, and taxi would probably be cheaper than new tire. So in this case scenario, I would rather grab a taxi, get a taxi home, than ride on a flat tire. On the bigger scooters, tires can go all the way up to 100 quid per tire. So I honestly really think it's not worth it. And if you are, believe it or not, 9 out of 10 cases, reason for a puncture is too low tire pressure. And I can prove that myself in my example. In 4 years, I had, I don't know how many scooters in total, I'd say over 20 scooters. At the peak time I had the maximum in my collection was 15 scooters. I really like to try new scooters all the time, and whenever I have a chance to grab my hands on some new scooters, I do it, I try it out. And in 3 years I had now in over 4 years, almost 5 years, I had maybe 3 punctures. But like every Sunday, I'm checking my tire pressure. Sunday evening before I go to bed, I'm preparing for Monday for work, everything, check the tire pressure, and that's it. It becomes just a routine quite quickly, and then it's like everything else you're doing. So like I would definitely advise you to do it. And perfect example is also like my friend Glenn from Move Electrics. So he had his first scooter was Xiaomi Pro, if I remember correctly, and he had it over a year, I think, year and a half, maybe even 2 years. Glenn, if you're watching the video, you can actually, give those details in the comments down below. And I know that he was, he had spare tire and tube, and he was waiting to get a puncture to make a video about how to replace tire and tube on Xiaomi, and it never happened. But he was checking his tire pressure all the time. So yeah, definitely something like, I would usually recommend to people, like, check it at least once every 2 weeks, even that I will be checking my tire pressure every Sunday, and that's it. Now, next picture is what you're looking here actually is a Kevlar insert, Kevlar anti-puncture insert. Like, I like to try new things. I'm always constantly looking for new things out there on the market, like, what can we try, what can maybe help, because punctures are like, just annoying thing, especially when they're happening all the time. And we did try Kevlar inserts, and while they're working on road bikes, they are working on them because they have bigger wheels. Scooters have small wheels, so like Kevlar would work. We did try it. I tried it on a couple of my scooters, and then we tried it on some customer scooters. On some scooters it did work, on some scooters it didn't work. But one thing that I actually realized, it's working, but your tire pressure has to be spot on. If it's not spot on, well then, here, this edge of Kevlar is actually going to be rubbing against your inner tube, and that's what happens. And that's like when I said 9 out of 10 cases it's too low tire pressure. So when you're riding on a too low tire pressure, first of all, scooters have much smaller wheels than road bikes, so they're much more sensitive. They need to spin much more times to achieve the same speed as a road bike. So if you're riding on a too low tire pressure, every time that tire touches the ground, it expands on the sidewalls, and inner tube is rubbing against outer tire, and you get a slow puncture. And like lots of people would buy a brand new scooter, take it out of the box, and go for a spin without inflating tires. Like, guys, don't do that, because that scooter was sitting probably like 2 or 3 months in warehouses and traveling around the country to get to you. So first thing, check your tire pressure, then go for a spin. Because if you got a scooter, majority of scooters are made in China today, let's be honest. So like it usually would take around 2 months just for that scooter to come from China to Europe or wherever, and it was sitting a little while there in China somewhere in a warehouse. It's going to be sitting in your country at your dealer in a warehouse for a little while. So like we are official repair center for some shops here in Dublin, and people would come with a brand new scooter out of the box, brand new Xiaomi that's supposed to be inflated to 50 psi, and they would have something between 15 and 25 psi, so like less than half of the pressure needed. Now this next picture is one scooter that when I first saw it, I loved it. When I got it, I started hating it. Like now I'm kind of in some way, okay, some things have changed. So I have a different opinion. I'm gonna make it absolutely like one dedicated episode just to this brand. So this is actually Kugo G Booster, and well, Kugo G Booster has a single arm fork, front and rear, and that's a brilliant thing. Honestly, it is a great idea, because like if you get a puncture, tire levers, take a tire off, replace inner tube, put it back on. I actually gave my G Booster to Glenn. He actually made a review of that video, and he mentioned there how quickly I did a puncture repair on the inner tube replacement on that scooter. It's super quickly, it's super easy. But then this is a problem. Okay, this valve here, first version of G booster came with just a short straight valve that's placed behind the disc, and that's a bad design. Honestly, that's a really bad design, because you need adapter in order to inflate the tire, and while you're removing that adapter, you are going to lose some of the pressure. So like also every tire, as you can see, says here, it has written on every tire, you have written how much you're supposed to inflate it, the pressure. So this tire is 30 psi. You would actually need to inflate it to something between 40 and 50 psi, and then hope that you're not going to lose more than 10 or 20 psi while you're taking that adapter off. So like I really wasn't happy about it. But recently, a couple of months ago, we got a new G booster in, and there you go. They learned the lesson, and now they're using inner tubes with the band valve, and that's a brilliant thing. And whoever knows me knows that I don't have a really good opinion about Kugo scooters. Honestly, I really don't. But lately they're starting to change things. They're starting to redesign their scooters. So I'm actually quite happy about it, because like they're now their Kugo M4 is their one of the, like, M4 and M4 Pro are two kind of the most popular scooters they made. And like when Kugo M4 came out, they were selling a lot, but they're also coming for repairs a lot. So like they would bring lots of revenues, but one of the quite common problem was actually, you see here, so this is axle, motor axle, and here is where your cables are usually coming out. And if you hit the curb, there's a problem. Like, you get your cable stripped, and then you need to find someone who can fix it or replace the whole motor. And replacing whole motor is not going to be cheap. Finding someone who can properly fix motor cable wires also not going to be, it's not going to be too easy. So I'm actually glad that I'm seeing changes, and I'm going to make a video about Kugo brand, and hopefully by then I'll have more positive things to say than negative. Now some sellers might start hating me now, but like, guys, it's better to tell you. And like I will be doing lots of really honest reviews, because like, if someone doesn't know, it's better for me to warn him than for him to pay that with his own money. Now here we are looking at just a moment. Here we are actually looking at solid tires, and that's our next topic. And like when I got my first scooter in 2018, I was like, you know what, I'm just going to put the solid tires on and all my problems are solved, and I thought that that's going to be great. And I did put solid tires on my first Xiaomi, and then I got my second Xiaomi, exactly this, just one was black, another one was white. And the white one, actually, I kept it on the pneumatic tires. It was just kind of a spare scooter on the side in case my black one wasn't properly charged or whatever. So I would actually commute to town and back on my black Xiaomi on a daily basis, but then sometimes I would use a white one, and I was mostly using the same route. And I have a metal plate and screws in my leg, and what I actually noticed short time after I fitted the solid tires is that my leg became sore every now and then, almost on a daily basis. But then when I would be using white scooter that has pneumatic tires, everything was fine. And that's actually how I figured out, like, solid tires are really not, no, they're not definitely a good option. So and then I started thinking, like, okay, if this is affecting my ankle in that way, my leg, how it's affecting the rest of my body, like, maybe my spine or other bones and joints, like, can that leave some problems, like, cause some problems long term or whatever. Like, scooter doesn't have a suspension. That was the only difference between those two scooters. So I decided, you know what, I'm not using solid tires anymore, and that's it. And even that, like, if I didn't have that problem, like you can see here, even solid tires, they're gonna wear out. You need to replace them sooner or later. And we can see, like, okay, those were heavily used and they should have been replaced a long time ago, but nobody did it. But like here now, let's see, second picture, like this tire isn't too old, but it's really just a really bad quality tire that actually started cracking and breaking. And imagine that tire breaking apart at a full speed, like full throttle, 20, 25, 30 kilometers per hour. You really never know. And someone's going to say, oh, that's not fast. Like, you can fall off a scooter at 5 kilometers per hour and end up seriously injured. Like, trust me on that one. I'm going to make a separate episode just on scooter safety. And I'm going to share some stories with you guys as well. You'll be shocked. Now, this picture here is just comparing two tires that, like, look the same. Because I came across some situations where, like, even that I'm against solid tires, we do have them in the workshop because some people, anyways, they want a solid tire and that's it. So, yeah, I do have them in the workshop, and if someone wants a solid tire, yeah, okay, I'm gonna tell them that I'm not recommending putting solid tires, but if someone still wants it, yeah, okay, we'll do it. And then we'd have cases where, people would say, oh, like, that same tire is cheaper there. Okay, that's no problem. Like, I'm checking our prices all the time and I'm making sure that we have the best prices on the market. But if you can get it for cheaper, no problem. You get a tire, bring it over, we're going to fit it for you. That's no problem at all. And the customer came with this tire, and then I showed him actually, well, as you can see, it's not the same tire. It is cheaper, and it's cheaper for a reason. So what we see here is our tires on the left, customer tires on the right. Left tire has actual holes, so it's not that hard. It's going to be a bit softer. Right tire has what I would call it wannabe holes, fake holes. Another thing, if you're looking at those water draining canals, if you go over a puddle or something, this is where water escapes so that you still keep a grip. They're much deeper on our tires than customers' tires. So that means that this tire is going to worn out and get slick quite quicker than this tire. And then the last thing that's really important is, so this part of your tire is actually the part that holds the grip on your rim. And, like, as I said, I don't like solid tires because, like, pneumatic tire is always trying to expand. So it's always going to do its best to hold the grip, where solid tire has that shape. And when this wear out, your tire is going to start slipping off the rim. It's not going to be holding that grip, and it can be dangerous. Honestly, it really can be dangerous. So, like, that's actually happening more lately on Kugo M4 and M4 Pro scooters, where people are fitting solid tires, and then after a short period they come back and say, like, no, let's fit a pneumatic tire, because those tires are not going to do a good job on a scooter with a higher torque. Only on a scooter with a really small motors that they don't have too much of a torque, yes, okay. But if you have a higher torque scooter, no. Like, if solid tires were good, they would already be on cars and motorbikes. Like, that industry is there for a really long time, but it just, no, it doesn't work. So yeah, I'm definitely, as I said already, against those tires. And also, like, so when you put solid tires on your scooter, everything you save on the punctures, you're going to spend on your mudguards, because that's the first thing that starts breaking on a scooter with the solid tires are mudguards. So mudguards start breaking first. Then the second thing that happens quite often are front wheel bearings. I'm talking especially about Xiaomi scooters. So front wheel bearings are going to start failing if you don't replace bearings on time. Then you'll need to replace the whole motor, because your axle is going to get damaged. And then the last thing, okay, it's not happening so much on Xiaomi, but it can say it's happening quite often on our scooters. Especially at least here in Ireland, where we have so many really bumpy roads and cycle tracks because of vibrations and not the best battery build quality. Connections in the battery start breaking down, so if one day your scooter just doesn't want to turn on or it doesn't want to charge, probably some of the nickel strips inside are probably broken or something like that, and your battery has to be refurbished. Okay, here we are looking at a solid tire on a 9-boot Max G30. First of all, I don't understand why someone would put a solid tire, and well, this is what's left of solid tire. When I saw this picture for the first time, I was like, what happened actually here? Like, is this like, was doggy hungry? Someone didn't feed the dog for a couple of days, or like what? And then I was thinking, okay, it was probably maybe hard braking, skidding, and things like that. But like no, because Max G30 has a drum brake on the front wheel and a disc and the electrical brake on the rear wheel, so it's definitely not that. The thing is actually that scooter doesn't have a mudguard, and probably someone was using a foot to do hard braking and heavily abused tires. This is actually not my picture. I got it actually of my friend. It's just part of my collection because I was like, okay, I've seen that as well. Is there something else that can surprise me? And then we are getting to, this is also 9-boot Max G30, but 9-boot Max G30 original tubeless tire. And I'm finding those tires probably the best tires out there that are available out there, because I had Max G30 in my collection over 3,500 kilometers without a puncture. Absolutely brilliant tires. Just keep an eye on the tire pressure, and this is actually what happened here. Someone is actually riding on a flat tire, and now all that jelly ended up on a rim. And now in order to fix this properly, so there are two ways how you can do it. You can just chop off tubeless valve and just put inner tube, and that's it. But no, it's horrible job. Scooters with the tubeless tires, I'm gonna always advocate to have them on the tubeless tires, and that's it. So here, in this case scenario, again, someone maybe try to save money on a taxi or whatever. It doesn't matter actually what's the story behind it. But like these puncture repairs now are gonna cost even more, because overall it's quite harder to fit tubeless tires on electric scooters. Like sometimes I can do it on my own. Sometimes I need 2 or 3 people in total, two more people to help me actually to get that tire to fit on properly. But in this case, first you need to clean the rim and then do it. So well, that's going to take some time and that's going to cost some more money. So definitely not. Especially on G30, if you check your tire pressure regularly, you can ride on that tire for a really long time. Now here we have another example of a tubeless tire, and that's InMotion L9. And here, so InMotion L9 doesn't have that without anti-puncture jelly, but the user decides to use something like tire weld or something like that. I'm not too crazy about those things, and if I'm using something, then I'm gonna only use slime, nothing else, nothing that's gonna be sticky or whatever, because well, those things can help you avoid punctures. They're gonna help you avoid getting slow punctures or anything like that. But once you get a puncture, then it's gonna be a messy job, and if you're using something like this case scenario, tire weld or something like that, now you get rubber pieces glued to the rim, and also we have some aluminum corrosion there. So again, this will need to be first properly cleaned in order to fit a tubeless tire on. And if you don't clean it properly, you'll have a slow puncture. You're gonna have an air leak somewhere, guaranteed. Another option again is just to put the inner tube, but I'm definitely not in for fitting inner tube on the scooters that are designed to have a tubeless tires anyways. Here we have a scooter that usually comes, wheel of the scooter that usually comes with tires with the inner tube. That's Xiaomi. This is actually rear wheel of Xiaomi Pro. but we fitted tubeless tires on it. And we did do it on lots of scooters. On most of scooters it worked fine. On some scooters, unfortunately, it didn't work fine. Now, there is a positive and negative side of the tubeless tires. So tubeless tires, like, they're gonna be performing better even if you're riding on a too low tire pressure. There is no inner tube to rub against outside tire, so you're not gonna get a slow puncture that easily. But on the tubeless tires, in order to get the puncture, like a glass or nail or anything, just needs to penetrate through a tire, not a tire and tube. So anyways, I still prefer tubeless tires over tires with the inner tube. And like, if you look at this valve is super tight on the rim. That's how you're going to recognize, do you have a tubeless tire or not. Wow, this video is almost 26 minutes. But yeah, we came to the end. I hope you liked the video. I know it's not perfect. Nobody made his first video perfect. Mine's not going to be perfect, but it is what it is. And it's going to get probably better down the road. If you like what I'm doing, press that like. Let me know that, you want more content like this. If you know someone that could use of info in this video, please share it. If you have any questions, write it down in the comments below. Now, I don't have too much time to be online all the time and answering all the questions, but what I'm planning to do is questions that you put in the comments down below, I'm going to answer in some of my future videos. So make sure that you're subscribed and that you hit on the bell notification button, because I'm not going to say, oh, you're going to get the video every Thursday, every Wednesday, every Tuesday, or every Saturday, or whatever. I'll be recording videos as much as I have some good topic to share with you. If I don't have a topic, I'm just going to maybe skip a week or two or whatever. But as soon as there is something interesting and good to share with you, I'm going to be recording video. And this video is way longer than I planned. But unfortunately, it's hard to make a short video when we are talking about tires, that there's so many different models and they're so important. And this is definitely not the last video regarding tires and tubes. I will definitely be making more videos, because in order to share all the info with you, I'll need much more time than half an hour. Anyways, that's it for now, guys. Stay safe out there, and I'll chat to you quite soon. Cheers. See ya. Bye bye.